Fuck you, man.
Hello, one and all, and welcome to another episode of Geek and a Nerd, where you get to decide who is the geek and who is the nerd.
Hint, they're both Danny.
That's right, because I identify as a geek and a nerd.
As always, we are your hosts, Chuck Ewoks,
And I am D.
and we are just taking a quick look at some of the news of the week. Relatively short show today, but some stuff we wanted to hit you guys off with. First of all, on the Marvel side of things, cameras have started rolling on a number of new projects, and we've got some set photos that are being posted to the Facebook tonight. So definitely check those out. So we have Daredevil Born Again, which has begun filming. We also have Captain America 4, New World Order, and we also have the Thunderbolts movie. And the synopsis has been released for both. And guess what? They just so happen to be exactly the plots that Danny and I talked about almost 2 months ago on this very show.
Seems to be
So
happening a lot.
I know,
MCU,
right?
DCU, they go,
It's
hey,
almost like we're tapped into it somehow. Like we kind of know people. I don't know. Either that or we're just very, very good guessers.
I like to lie to myself and say we're good guesses.
Absolutely. So yeah, starting things off, Daredevil Born Again, the new take of bringing Daredevil into the MCU, which we've gotten some more details on. This is not a continuation of the Netflix series. This is those characters brought into this, and those that watch the Hawkeye series know Kingpin has superpowers in the MCU. One thing that we can talk about here is it appears the show takes place during the 5-year blip after Thanos' snap. Set photos indicate that. So interesting thing there. That will explain why Karen and Foggy are not in the show. Obviously, they got snapped away. So some interesting things on that side of the. What are your thoughts on this not being a continuation of the Netflix series?
I can understand why, but that's a shame because I like those. And Kingpin was never a super villain, but he always had above human strength and endurance. Like he he legit would just whip up on Daredevil. Like that wasn't even a problem. And he fought like he could fight Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man would actually have to like, oh, I have to actually like put forth effort. He couldn't just
Dude,
go in
if
there
you
and whip him.
you got to play against Kingpin in the Spider-Man game, and he
Yeah,
is
like
no joke.
yeah, Kingpin, it, he's something. He's not like he's just a fat dude. Like he actually has some ability behind him.
So, and then we move over to Captain America: New World Order, which sees Harrison Ford take over the role of Thunderbolt Ross, now President Ross, in the MCU. And they're basically it's an intersecting storyline with Thunderbolts, where the Celestial Tiamat, that's what it is, that we saw in Eternals, that was
Ah,
left frozen coming out of the Earth,
yeah, that's not
is
even the
now,
celestial that's on the earth. This is
and
just
that is
somebody who doesn't know anything about comic books.
that is now known as the island of Genosha, and also the source of adamantium in the MCU. And we're going to see that play out over the course of Captain America and Thunderbolts. We also have the new Falcon that was introduced in Falcon and Winter Soldier. The Spanish kid, Joaquin, is going to be assuming the role of Falcon. And the big mystery is if Chris Evans will reprise his role in any way. I don't see that happening. I think the whole point of this movie is to really embrace Anthony Mackie as the new Captain America. I mean, we really only got him as that in the final episode of the show. So I think they really need to lean into that aspect of his character instead of bringing Chris Evans back.
You bring old Chris Evans, just kind of be hanging around, be kind of his mentor, somebody you can go talk to.
Like, remember that time I kissed my niece in Civil War?
That was awesome. That was awesome. Like, no, that
It
wasn't
just
awesome,
cuts.
dude. We still have not yet fully talked about that.
I
So I'm
love that
gonna go shopping now.
it just cuts to Winter Soldier and Bucky in the car looking at the bullet. Yeah, that's what's up. And that's what Winter Soldier's like. Can you move your seat up? And he's like, no. Like, just their love and hate for each other. The big question is if Bucky Barnes will be in it as Winter Soldier because he is the leader of the Thunderbolts team. I think he'll at least have a cameo. They're filming back to back. No reason he can't just hop over onto another set for the day.
Both of those should both be in each other's movie. To be honest with you, I'm putting
Absolutely.
Captain America and Thunder. We're shooting them both. We're shooting both these movies as kind of like one and a half of each other's movie. I'm putting cameos, and that whole thing is going back and forth to
Dude,
get
all
really
they're
people
one of the big
excited.
three. I love his line. They're one of the big three. That's all we fight. He goes, what do you mean the big three? He goes, robots, aliens, and wizards. He goes, first of all, Doctor Strange is a sorcerer. He goes, a sorcerer is just a wizard without a hat. And he goes, and he goes, like Gandalf. He goes, yeah, I know who Gandalf is. I read The Hobbit when it came out in 1937. Like no one like talks about that big three line. Like that's all we ever fight, dude. Robots, wizards, and aliens.
That's how you do it. You inject a little comedy here and there without making the whole thing a joke fest, which Quantum Mania, that's what happens when everything becomes a joke fest.
Well,
You don't
look
have to
at
go that
Falcon and
far.
Winter Soldier. Like they're going to therapy together, having like meaningfully staring each
They're
other.
like, and then they have some really serious tones, like what they did to the first Captain America. Like that's some jacked up
So
stuff.
that leads me to my next story. He returns in Captain America 4 as Isaiah Bradley.
Good.
But yeah, it's one of my favorite things is when Bucky's saving the woman from the car and he looks in his little book of notes. He goes, okay, ma'am, do I have your permission to place my hands on your body? And she's like, get me the fuck out of here. Mission report, December 16, 1991. Goes, oh, that was a hell of a party. It was me, Father Doug, George Santos, just living life. But of Captain America and Thunderbolts, especially with Thunderbolts bringing in Sentry, which is more on the hype meter for you?
Thunderbolts, because one, it has my favorite team member,
Red Guardian.
Oh no. Kate Bishop. I could have killed you before you, as soon as you walked in the door. Why do you keep saying my whole name?
Just because you know it? Yes.
Yes.
If you were going to kill me, you would have done it when I walked in here. Yes, as soon as you opened the door, you'd never even see me coming.
He's like, you're such a poser. In the middle of the convenience store, does the move. Like, that is fantastic.
The two best lines from her, though, are when she's in the helicopter blowing up the wrong thing and Black Finish. She goes, what are you doing? She's like, we are both doing a really good job. And then in the car with the vest, look at my cool vest. It has so many pockets. You don't even know. like she is the epitome of little sister energy. But when she's in the hell, we're both doing a real good job. Just trying to keep the helicopter from crashing. I fucking lost it. And then when she lands in the Black Widow pose and it stands up, she's like, oh.
It's like, oh. Yeah, all she has is just voice in the back of her head. Fantastic.
So for those who don't know, the Thunderbolts lineup is Yelena Belova as White Widow, David Harbour as Red Guardian, Bucky Barnes, played by Sebastian Stan. We're bringing back Ghost from Ant-Man 2. And then we are also throwing in there Daniel Bruhl's Captain Zemo, Baron Zemo, who I got to say, after Falcon the Winter Soldier, I loved him. He had a 3-second scene in the club where he's just doing this.
Yeah, and they just turned that into a whole dance meme.
It was fucking hilarious. And then just, I don't know, man, what he brought to that character in that show was a really nice, like, progression of the character. It fit. I really liked even him acknowledging Steve Rogers. He's like, the super soldier serum corrupts those who take it. And he goes, it didn't corrupt Steve. And he goes, yeah, but when is there ever going to be another Steve Rogers? Like, just him having that moment admitting, like, yeah, Steve Rogers was a good dude. Like, he was just a genuinely great guy.
Yeah, because everybody else was a soldier. Steve Rogers was not a soldier.
I could do this all day, man.
There's the reason why he picked him in the first place.
And we also got some news. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 has debuted its runtime, the longest of the trilogy, clocking in at 2 hours and 39 minutes. New trailer came out, new shot of Adam Warlock. Really interested to see what they do with that. We did get some elaboration on his character, that he's basically a newborn in this movie, so he's not even fully aware of what he's capable of yet.
And I'm going to pitch my movie, Guardians of the Galaxy 4, with the team from the 90s that searched for Captain America's shield and fought against the Stark. I was telling you off camera that was the inception of Taserface. He was one of the Stark, and he shot a laser from his face. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of thought put into that one.
So if you had to bet money on one of the team dying in this movie, who are you going with?
Going with Star-Lord. If anybody deserves to eat it, he does. Go Team Ferris.
I want to see it be Star-Lord, but I have a heavy, heavy feeling based on the trailers that it's going to be Rocket. It might be Rocket and Star-Lord, but I feel like Rocket's definitely gone. There's a scene where someone on the team clearly dies, and Chris Pratt's reacting to it. And just based on everything with the High Evolutionary being who created Rocket, him reuniting with the otter that he was created with, it just seems like that they're setting this up to be his swan song, which
And
is sad.
Batista's he's gonna eat it at some point.
But Drax is so like they turned Drax from like this serial psycho killer in the first one to the fucking meme we've all seen now of him being like, if I don't move, you can't see me. It's imperceptible to the eye.
Well, they kind of took what Marvel had with Drax, where Drax's whole mission was to kill Thanos. Then he was given the power where he actually could do it. But then he turned into kind of like dumb Hulk at some point in the 90s. And it took away his intelligence. So they kind of playing off of that with this version of Drax.
So, I mean, obviously, I'm excited to check it out. I'm hoping it's better than Ant-Man 3 was. Of course, James Gunn wrote and directed again, so I have faith in him. He seems to have these characters figured out pretty well.
He doesn't have them figured out. He just took them because nobody really knew them. These characters are nothing like they were in the comic book. He didn't figure out nothing. He figured out that, hey, nobody really knows these guys, so I can do what I want. That's the only thing he figured out. I'm going to make it a comedy because he makes everything a comedy. Have fun with that Superman legacy.
My favorite scene of the trailer is where Chris Pratt's describing his love for Gamora, and Gamora's like, it sounds like you're talking about her, pointing to Nebula, and she's like, don't you dare bring me into this. And then it just cuts, and Starlet's staring at it. He goes, I never noticed how black your eyes were before. She's like, they were replaced by my father. He goes, I'm just saying he picked a good color. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see the Gamora dynamic of things, with this being the 2012 Gamora pre-Guardians that was brought in Endgame. Definitely excited for that. Of course, the soundtrack, is going to be killer on this. It's been a running thing through the two of them. I can't wait to see him with his Zune now, because if you remember, Sean Gunn's character gifts him the Zune at the end of Volume 2. He goes, we stored this for, apparently it holds like 300 songs. Everybody on Earth's got one now. He's just like, if you're old enough to remember the Zune, comment below, because this is going to be the new iPod. It's going to take over. And Bill Gates just wiped it off the face of existence. Like, what are you talking about, Zune? We never, what?
It's like, there's no such thing. You Google it. Good luck.
But yeah, I'm excited for Guardians. On the DC side of things, the trailer is expected later this week for the Blue Beetle movie, which is a movie a lot of people don't even know has been made. There's been like no real hype factor for this movie. As a DC fan, I have been on this since the progression of it, mainly because friend of the show, Harvey Guillen, star of What We Do in the Shadows and The Magicians, has a role in the movie, as it's a largely Latino cast. Susan Sarandon playing Victoria Korg of Korg Industries. But it's a practical suit, which I'm very excited about. The suit looks awesome. It's not CGI. And I was never a Booster Gold fan, but I loved Blue Beetle. My first introduction to him was actually on Smallville. They had a Blue Beetle episode, and it was done very, very well. So I like the idea of this character. What are your thoughts on the Blue Beetle movie, especially with people not even really knowing that this is coming?
Hey, Spider-Man. If you like Spider-Man, come see Blue Beetle. Here at DC, where we have decided to take everything you loved about the MCU and make it DC-like. Happy-go-lucky.
August 23rd, we'll be getting Blue Beetle, so first trailer expected to drop from that soon. George Lopez also added to the cast in an undisclosed role.
Oh, Lopez is hilarious.
He is. I'm definitely excited for that. So we'll definitely do a trailer reaction to that when it pops out. We also got the Titans final season trailer has debuted, showing us Tim Drake, the Black Robin, in his Robin suit finally. And I got to tell you, it looks amazing.
Yeah, it's cool looking suit. I refuse to do anything Titans wise because of what they did in season 1
with Starfire.
Yeah, as soon as you do anything like that, as soon as you go anywhere close to who's that bum director who makes everything? Oh, Michael Bay. Yeah, anytime you go Michael Bay with it, I'm out. So season 1, they went Michael Bay with it on with Starfire. I'm out. You deserve no credit. You deserve nothing after that.
They evolved her character nicely, though. Now she's in the comic.
Yeah. Well, how hard is it to evolve from Space Hooker? I mean, really.
First of all, it's Space Whore. All right.
I thought she got paid a little bit. It's Space Hulk.
Those are your words. Definitely excited to see the final season of Titans. Also, the new season of Superman and Lois is off to a hot start. One of the big storylines this season will be Lois being diagnosed with an aggressive form of breast cancer, kind of bringing a real struggle that people deal with to the show, and how her family reacts to it. The one thing I was actually nervous about was the kid that played Jordan Kent, not the one with powers, not Jonathan, was recast. He left the show due to religious reasons. So they had a new actor in. Kid fit in perfectly. I was worried about it at first. I was like, how is this going to click? Because it's like a soap opera. Soap operas are known for recasting an actor in one episode, just acting like it never happened.
Right.
So the kid actually fit in really well. I was really excited to see how
Yeah,
it
it's
came
because
out.
Superman kissed him off camera.
We also have The Flash, which is wrapping up its final season run. They just completed the Red Death arc, which thank
Hey, and
God,
don't skip
because
the breast cancer thing. All Superman has to do is read a book, and he can solve that in the living room.
the other cool thing about the season is he has a new Fortress of Solitude, which his whole family can access. Because his son
Eh,
Jonathan, well, Jonathan is really leaning into it now. He just learned to fly in episode 1, and then episode 2, he went on his first solo mission, which is cool to see the evolution of his powers. Because when he first develops powers in season 1, and Superman takes him to the fortress to have Jor-El analyze him, Jor-El says he'll never even have 100% of your strength. Laser vision's probably going to be his only power. And now he's got everything. He's got freeze breath. He's got the super hearing. It's really well done. Yeah, just
which version of Jonathan Kent are they making in the show?
I think they're doing their own new take on it. Alrighty. And we are going to cut to a part 2 of this in about 5 minutes. I just have to step off real quick. My news is here, but we're going to do our Superman segment. We'll cut that as a separate segment when we come back. So we'll be right back after a short break.
Have you
I'll be right
felt
back.
any kind of anxiety, tiredness? If so, take nappy pills. And we'll be back after this short commercial break.